Hey there. So before we jump into the episode, I just wanted to remind you that this podcast is made possible by my partnership with a few very select companies. My title sponsor for 2022 is SpyPoint Trail Cameras. So if you love me and you love what I'm doing with this podcast, please go to huntfishtravel.com/SpyPoint. And as always, I'd like to thank Montana Decoy, Radians, and Realtree for helping me keep the lights on. You can find links to all of my sponsors at huntfishtravel.com/sponsors.
Welcome to the Hunt Fish Travel Podcast, the first and longest running female hosted hunting podcast. When she's not tiptoeing across 10 inches of hard water searching for the perfect place to ice fish, she's helping you navigate your trip of a lifetime. And now, here's your hostess, Carrie Zilka.
Welcome to the Hunt Fish Travel Podcast. I am your hostess, Carrie Z. Welcome back. It has been a couple of months since I posted an episode, but 2022 is going to be the year of the podcast. I feel like it's going to be a great year, and we're kicking the year off with a really exciting episode. We've got Austin Kramer on the phone. We're going to talk about deer hunting in Iowa, which is something that a few listeners have asked about. And then we're going to do a second part, so make sure to tune in next week because we're going to talk about preference points and hunting out of state and some of the challenges that go along with that, especially when you're from the Midwest. So, Austin, welcome to the show.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
Well, let's introduce the folks to you. Why don't you give them a rundown on what you do and where you're from?
Well, I'm an adventure advisor with Rolling Bones Outdoors, and I'm located in kind of the northeastern part of Iowa, so right in the heart of whitetail hunting, and I've been hunting ever since I was old enough to start. I think started hunting when I was 8 years old with my dad, and then pretty soon it just became an obsession.
I think we all can relate to that.
Yeah, it pretty much happens for everybody.
Was it always deer hunting, or did your dad take you turkey hunting or pheasant hunting? Or
it was mostly deer hunting. I've tried, duck hunting. I think I duck hunted for a few years with friends, and it was fun. I really enjoyed duck hunting, and I'm actually really good at calling. I can't hardly shoot worth a crap, but I'm really good at calling, and all my friends wanted me to go just to call for them, but it always ended up being like, hey, man, you want to go duck hunting? I'm like, nah, I'm deer hunting. So deer hunting took priority, and it still does.
Sure.
I've tried turkey hunting, and well, I still am trying. I can't turkey hunt to save my life. Even though there's probably like 200 birds on my bow hunting property, I can't ever get them in the bow range in the spring.
I think that's a lot of us.
But oh yeah, it's nuts. It's like a black cloud of feathers when they go by.
Do you hunt a lot of public, or is it all private?
I do hunt a lot of public. I have a small piece of private ground. It's not as good as it used to be because of I lost some of the surrounding property, and some not so good hunters moved in. So I kind of mainly hunt public ground. There's a really large piece of public land in northeast Iowa. I'm pretty sure everybody knows what it is. It's pretty easy to find in that northeast part of Iowa. But so probably 75% of my hunting is on public.
Wow. Okay.
And it doesn't have to be. Like I could probably hunt private land or more private land if I wanted to, but I just enjoy the struggles of public land hunting.
I get it. I am very much the same way. Every time I buy a lease, I'm like, I don't know why I bother, because then I just want to roam the state. But
right, because part of the fun part for me is always like finding new spots.
Yeah, right? Like what's over that next hill?
Yeah, you always got to go just over the next hill, or like, oh, I wonder what's down in that valley. And then when you go to this new spot, you're like, holy crap, this spot is awesome. Why wasn't I hunting here before?
Right.
And then the very next season, you do the same thing. You just venture into a new spot, and you're like, oh man, this is amazing.
Yes,
well, that's the joy.
Definitely understand. Definitely. So tell me more about your Iowa hunting, though. Like, I know you hunt out of state a lot, but you're from Iowa, right? Are you originally from Iowa?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Born and raised.
Cool. Iowa's a tough state to get tags for if you're a non-resident. They're expensive.
Yeah, it is pricey. In the end, I mean, it's going to take, like, for an archery tag, it's going to take for sure probably 3 points, if not 4 points. In that region that I hunt in, most time it takes 4 points. And tags are, I mean, you're pushing $600 just for the tag, the hunting license and tag.
Yeah. Explain to the listener what you mean by it'll take at least 4 points.
So Iowa is it's a draw system for non-residents, and it's like the more points you have, the more time your name goes in the hat for the drawing. So if you've only got 1 point to draw that archery tag, you're probably not going to get it. So the more points you got, the better your odds are of drawing that tag.
In part 2, this is going to be a 2-part episode, like I said in the intro. In part 2, we're definitely going to get into preference points and drawings and lotteries and all the madness that is
it's
west of the Mississippi River.
It's a whole nother conversation on its own that could go forever. So
I know. But anyway, getting back to Iowa. So you guys got a lot of big bucks, I hear, over there, though. Do you think that's attributed to the fact that it is so hard to get a tag?
Maybe. I wouldn't really say it is, but I wouldn't say it's not. Iowa in the past has done a really good job with their deer management. It's going downhill, though, and I hate to be the one to say it, but it's just Iowa's not as good as it once was. And I'm not saying that to like trying to keep people from coming to Iowa. That's not the case at all. But it's becoming harder all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Just because their deer management practices, I think, are not ideal anymore. And there is a lot of hunters. There's a lot of hunters on public land, and especially if you're a non-resident, to get on private land, if you don't have deep pockets, or if you don't know somebody, it's going to be hard to get on private land.
That's interesting.
So the other part about why Iowa has always had good deer is because of the nutrition.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, 90% of the state is just a cornfield. So they have an unlimited food supply during the spring, summer, and fall, which allows them to get huge. So
yeah, for sure.
That's probably the number one factor is nutrition.
And, well, you guys are up against along the Mississippi River, too. Do you find that the bluff bucks towards the river tend to be a little larger? Like in Wisconsin, it's definitely that way. The more west in the state you go, the more trophy bucks you'll see. Buffalo County is up against the Mississippi River, etc.
I do think that, that does play a role, because there's a lot more hiding spots for like the larger, more mature deer. You know, along the east side of the state, along the Mississippi, it's hill country. There's a lot of, just little hiding holes that they can get away into. The same thing, in like southern Iowa, the southeastern Iowa, south central Iowa, it's really hilly ground. The roads don't go by like one by 1 mile sections. They get usually bigger sections that the roads don't go through, so that helps the deer. And that's kind of the same situation too for like that northeast corner and all along Mississippi. Since it's so hilly, there's not as many roads to divide up all the timber and like just the landscape versus the western part of the state, especially like the northwestern part of the state. It's all flat. So it looks like a big, checkerboard. If you look at the road system, it's just 1 by 1 mile squares. And there's not a whole lot of landscape or terrain or habitat for the deer to, see cover in.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
And that's why in that western part of the state, there's not any extra doe tags available to purchase either, because there's just not that many deer out there, out in the open like that in the farm country.
If you were going to suggest to somebody, say I called you up and I was like, dude, I want to come hunt Iowa, where would you suggest I go? What county?
Well, I can't really say what, I give you a specific county.
Okay.
But I would suggest like different zones.
Okay.
And so back in the day, maybe like 10 years ago, Zone 9 was the place to be. And that's like that very northeast corner of Iowa. So Zone 9 is a really good area. And I'll probably come back and visit this whole deer zone on its own here in a minute.
Sure.
But Zone 7 covers kind of like the central area, the central, maybe a little bit like east central of the state. There's a lot of good ground in Zone 7, but there's not a whole lot of public land. It's a lot of private ground. Zone 5 is in the southern part of the state, and it borders Missouri. There's a lot of good ground down there. Zone 6 is really good, but there's not a whole lot of public. Zone 8 is kind of like the Dubuque area. That's good ground as well, but there's not a whole lot of public either. That's the bad part about Iowa is there's not much public land. But so those are all the zones that I've hunted in, and so I can speak for those. Like the northwestern, the west central, and the southwestern, I've never really hunted in those zones, so I can't say for sure what it's like. I just know what the landscape is like, and there's not as many deer in that western part of the state, but there are certain pockets that will hold a lot of deer.
Okay.
But Zone 9 is that northeastern part of the state. That used to be really good. That used to be the place to go. That's like, Almaquee County, Winneshiek County, Fayette County, Clayton County. Those were the counties that used to produce the biggest deer all the time. Now it seems like it's moving south. There's a lot of big deer getting harvested, like in the southern half of the state. I can't really say for sure why that is, but I kind of have an idea. I think, that northeastern part of the state has just been kind of hunted out, and also the deer management practices that they've been doing up there for the past 5 years has just been bad. And by that I mean the DNR or the state, they have a late rifle season that you can use centerfire rifles. Any other season you can't, except for the shotgun seasons, which you can use straight wall cartridge rifles. But during that late rifle season up there in that northeast corner, it's a doe only season because their goal is to lower the deer population, because they think it's just so dense and they don't want CWD to spread. Sure. So they want everybody to go out and shoot does. Okay, good idea, you'd think, but people will go out there with their rifles and they'll shoot the biggest deer or the biggest doe they find in the field. Well, it turns out to be a shed buck. So more shed bucks are being shot in the late doe season than you could imagine. And then for the next year's come hunting season, you're like, oh gosh, why don't I have any bucks on camera that I did the year before?
Yeah.
Well, it's because they got shot. They got shot during that late doe season as shed buck. And a lot of it happens on public land. They're really pushing it for the public land up there. They want to lower the deer population in that little pocket of the state because there's a ton of deer up there.
Sure.
But the problem is that I don't think the biologists, they see it the way us hunters do. So when you've got, and I'm going to kind of try to draw it out here as an example.
Sure.
So if you've got 100 deer in this, let's just say a 1 mile section, which that's really high, and it is, but I'm just going to use it for an example. And let's say out of those 100 deer, let's say 20 of those deer are on public land. The rest have moved off to private because they know they're safe on private. So those 20 deer on the public land are being pressured all year long, and even into that late rifle season when they want people to go out and shoot does to lower the population. Well, there's not a whole lot of deer being shot on public land because the deer just aren't there. And because all the deer are on the private land, and the private landowners don't really have much interest in going out and shooting deer because they just don't care. Or the land up there that's leased out, for hunting, most people who are leasing land up there don't really care about shooting does either. They go and hunt for bucks. Well, by that time, hunting season's over.
Right.
And so they have no reason to go out there and shoot does. So they need to start, if they want to continue to try and control the deer population, they need to start trying to give some sort of incentive to the private landowners to get out there and do their part, because there's not a whole lot of population control happening on the public land, and the deer that are being shot on public land are a lot of shed bucks. So it's been going that way for like 5 years now, and it's definitely had a huge effect on public land deer hunting.
That's interesting. I guess, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And especially here in Wisconsin, I don't know when they did it. I guess maybe I've just never noticed because I never really hunted that late in the season. But they've opened up late season archery through like January. And that's kind of crazy to me, but it seems so late. But I guess if it's population control, it's population control. Do you find that to be the case with Iowa as well?
Yeah. I mean, so our deer season goes till January 10th. That's like the late muzzleloader and late archery season.
Sure.
And then after January 10th, it's that late rifle season, antlerless only, till like January 23rd.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of shed bucks getting killed, and it's hurting the buck quality just in those areas. Like, they're not doing that all over the state because there's only certain pockets around the state that have a really high deer density. So like a couple counties over, they're not doing that.
Sure.
But there was a few counties down in like the southern part of the state that were doing that because they had leftover doe tags that they wanted to use for that late rifle season. But I don't really know how the hunting is down there.
Sure.
For that season, so.
Okay. I still want to hunt Iowa. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
It's a bucket list state.
I'd recommend it.
Yeah.
I'd recommend it for anybody, but it is getting more difficult to find like a good mature deer on public land. I think I've been hunting up there in that area for like maybe, I think since 2012, And for the first, I would say 5 years ago was probably, I'd say about 5 years ago was probably the last good year I've seen for bucks up there. Now, if I see like one mature buck for like in maybe like 6 days worth of hunting, that's pretty normal. So
Sure.
back when I started hunting up there, you'd see like one, maybe two bucks a day that were pushing like 160. And they were just all over the place. And you just kept on letting them walk because there's going to be something bigger coming by. And that was the case. You could
Sure.
hunt up there for a week long and let two deer over 150 go by every day. Now not so much. If you've got a good mature deer, that's in the 140s, you might want to think about taking it.
Yeah.
Because it might be your only shot all week. And I meet a lot of guys up there hunting that public land. Like this year, I think I met 2 guys from Wisconsin. And I helped them all summer long with scouting. And I was giving them like ideas on where to go. They were asking me questions, and I was trying to help them out. And we were keeping in contact all summer long with scouting. Like, hey, what do you got? What do I got? And so we were just kind of working together to find some good bucks for these guys to shoot, which I love doing. That's also part of the reason why I hunt public up there, is because I love meeting people, and I love helping people hunt.
That's cool.
And I think one of them got a pretty nice deer. It was probably in like the mid 140s. And he asked me, he's like, well, yeah, he's like, it's not a huge deer, but I figured I might as well. I said, dude, you should be happy with it. I mean, if you'd have let that thing walk another day, somebody else would have shot it. And then you would be regretting not shooting it. I mean, that's just how it is hunting public land. Like, if you let something walk by, someone else is going to shoot it.
Yeah. Well, and I always hate that when people started out with, it's not the biggest buck, but I'm like, who cares? If you're proud of it, then be proud of it.
Yeah, and that's what I told him. I'm like, dude, I would have shot that deer, probably. If I didn't shoot that deer, I would probably regret it. And he says, really? I said, oh yeah. And I said, I let a couple of bucks walk by this year that I probably should have shot. But it is what it is. This is like I think this is my second season in a row I'm buckless, but that's because I'm picky. I'm really picky about what I shoot. If it doesn't just fire me up on the inside, I just don't shoot it.
Sure. What does the seasons look like? When does archery start in Iowa?
October 1st is the opener, and that'll run all through November and the first couple of days in December usually. And then there is I think a 5-day shotgun season, and then there's a 2-day break, and then there's a 9-day shotgun season, and then it jumps right into the late muzzleloader, late archery season.
That seems so late, but you guys are a little farther south. Well, you're not that much farther south than us, really.
I mean,
it just seems so late. Yeah,
I mean, I prefer, I enjoy hunting the late season, because I especially love it when there's about a foot of snow and when it's really freaking cold, because like the deer, if it's 10 below outside and there's a foot of snow, I could take you straight to where the deer are going to be, and they're going to be there every day. And I just know they're there. So that's why I like hunting late season. The early archery season is, they're still really unpredictable. I would say, I tell a lot of people that I meet, hunt on the public land. I said, if you can, hunt the whole first 10 days of October, because the deer are still really predictable and they're not pressured. They're still like good mature animals coming out in daylight, before sunset in those first 10 days of October on public land. After that, pretty much after that first week, they've realized that they're being hunted.
Yeah, they get smart.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right. Well, I think that about wraps us up for part 1 of this interview. We are going to go ahead and take a break here, and then we're going to talk about preference points and drawing and all sorts of fun stuff with Austin here in part 2. So be sure to tune in next week.